Smiley face comes first, right?
Yeah. Get that thing out of the fucking way.
Unfortunately.
Like, Jesus Christ. It's so...
Yeah, it's a...
Why is it so dumb? And why did I read so many like positive reviews? It was bizarre.
The positive reviews, I don't know. The grace that they were giving him is unbelievable.
And her. They were like, she's such a breath of fresh air. And I'm like,
I didn't really look at where this falls in her timeline, right? But like, it's not like, did she need some sort of pick me up at this point? Because like, if you look at everything that she's done, like I would imagine Scary Movie would have been around 2000, right? So like, this is like, so she's, I mean, obviously she's a known, she's a comedic entity at this point. But she hasn't done like things like the House Bunny, but she's been funny in other things.
Right.
Like it's not, and like way funnier than other things than this. Even like, say what you will about the Scary Movie franchise, I think she's kind of one of the bright spots in those films. And so like, no one does anything in that movie. Like they just kind of stare at the camera.
It's so bad.
And it's not even like you had Harold and Kumar come out. You've had stoner comedies that have kind of laid the groundwork here. Like,
well, that's another problem with the film is it just plays on all those tropes.
Right. But it doesn't do anything. But like, it doesn't do any of those things. It doesn't commit to any of those things. And like, the set pieces are like the little pieces of trouble that she gets into. They all are so underbaked. But so like by the time she gets the Karl Marx manifesto, like am I supposed to know, like aside from her driving past the house and saying he introduced me into some wild things, man, and then going in, I never really understood like why she went back to that house, why Marion Ross gave her the manifesto.
Right.
And then why she thought immediately she could flip it on eBay for $1 million.
And isn't that antithetical to the whole like Marxism?
Right.
Anyway, look, you're getting ahead of the game here,
right?
We will get into this and we will get into it in more detail and we will gripe even harder about this film. Look, welcome back, Screamers, to another episode where we ask, what exactly is a bad hug? Is a face hug bad? Anyway, today we're talking a couple new films. One you may not have heard of, Ganymede, and another one maybe you have, Alien Romulus.
What I love about Ganymede is that no one knows how to say that word right.
I know.
Or no, well, actually, yeah. I mean, I shouldn't say right necessarily. No one knows how to say that word consistently. In a film where they've defined this word.
Yes. We will, after we figure out how to pronounce it consistently the same way, which just means we won't say it again. We're also going to dig into the next film on our Gregg Araki list with Smiley Face. Oh boy.
Which neither one of us have.
Yeah. Nope. What's new, man? Anything?
Oh, who the fuck knows, man? I mean, like, it's a crazy world out there. We're living in a bizarre time, as always. I think we start off every episode like this, but like
it's true. Well, it's my fault. I ask you like, hey, anything new? And you're like, oh man, I don't know.
But we're about to be faced with the choice of a giant flaming pile of shit and a person who has not been voted for at all and is just accepting an ascension. And here's the thing. I would vote for the shit I took last Tuesday over the person that's running on one side of the ticket or one side of the whatever the fuck you want to call it. And so that's fine. I'm okay with that, but I don't think we are. And I understand why we're not like asking the questions, but I do think as a democracy, maybe we should vote for the people that get to be accepting of our nominations. Just throwing that out there.
No, and I agree. I do. And I think there are a lot of questions we need to ask, not just of the candidates, but of the system itself. I mean, I think we're seeing the limitations of our system. And I think that, and I don't want to speak for you, but I, for one, am very hesitant to say vote for a third party candidate when I know what that means for the quote unquote lesser of two evils. And I don't mean that as a cop out, but at the same time, until we can actually have a system where a third party candidate could actually do something,
right.
It's tough. It's tough for me to go, you know what? I'm going to vote for X instead of, because, and here's the other thing. I have never come across a third party candidate that I would want to vote for. Like I understand the appeal of Ralph Nader, but I was never like a Ralph Nader fan. Right. And I was never going to vote for fucking Perot because I don't think I was old enough to.
So I signed, you know? I was 18 when Perot was running. Mm-hmm. And so the Clinton beating Bush was my first election. So I've been,
okay.
So I voted for Clinton at that point. That was my first.
I voted for Clinton the second time.
Right. And I did sign a petition to get Perot on the ballot. So I remember being in Austin for like student councils and nonsense, and like someone being downtown and had a flyer or whatever. And I signed so that Perot could be on the ticket. I think Perot was our last, like, and you know, conspiracy theories, whatever you want to say, that they actually got to Perot and were like, the whole "they're after me" and like there's a reason that I dropped out and the came back in and like like they know too much and like they're, you know, the hounds are at the door. But I think Perot was probably the last like real true option. And then from there, it just doesn't make like, because here's what happens, right? Is that now, and I think this is my, you know, biggest problem with the whole kit and caboodle is that, look, I am horrifically afraid of Christian nationalism and all of the trappings that come with that. And so like this idea of, you know, this rampant pseudo patriotism and our wrapping ourselves in dictatorship concerns me. More to the point, I think it makes my voting path clear. But more to the point, I don't see anybody talking about a separation of corporate America, corporate interest from our political landscape. I don't see anybody talking about, aside from just, you know, I don't see anybody at the DNC, everyone talking about this resurrection of the middle class. But what I don't see is a talk about stopping enriching yourself by gaining public office. Right. And so these are so entrenched, and these are things that we just, like, as a country, put aside the cultural war bullshit. As a country, we are not working in any of our own best interests because we have corporations that are trying to appease shareholders. Right. There's no reason that this country can't have free healthcare. There's no reason that this country can't have free education.
Oh, you just want to give shit away, don't you?
Absolutely, I do. Because that makes us better as a whole.
This is why no one wants to work anymore.
Right. I mean, and we've proven it. We gave away $2,000 a month for tax to children, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't have. But
but think about all we've given to corporations too. Right. I mean, that's the other thing. Well, and how much? And look, I don't want to. I mean, I don't want to go like too far down this particular rabbit hole. But look at the quote unquote defense budget every year. Right. Right. You're basically throwing away money because of what those things are billed as, right? I mean, how they're billed to the government and what they pay. I mean, there's gouging anyway, but we will give money to corporations, whether it's in form of tax breaks or bailouts, right? And everyone's like, oh, well, we can't let corporations fail, but that's the free market, baby. That's what you wanted, right? Laissez-faire, motherfucker. Right. I mean, this is what you preach.
Well, and
you know, but when it comes down to, again, the middle class or the working individual, you can't have this shit, man.
Yeah. Heaven forbid you are able to afford to go to college, or heaven forbid that you get sick and then the rest of your life and your children's lives are ruined because you can't pay for the fucking treatment.
Right. But I can't pay for anything, period. I mean, like just leaving the house costs $40.
Right.
Like it's weird.
You've got to get rid of that troll that just sits outside your door that charges
me for leaving. And I'm like, why? Maybe I'll just stay home.
Answer these riddles 3. Give me $40 and I'll let you be.
Shit. Nice. Okay. Look, I have another question. I want to get off the politics stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Just because it'll make me like mad,
right,
and sad. When did the Snoop Dogg retcon happen? And look, and I want to make sure that I'm clear here. I have no problem with this, right? I mean, look, but because you and again, I'm a little younger than you, but we both came up with Snoop Dogg doing deep cover, nothing but a G thing, and then Doggy Style, and this was like gangster rap type stuff, and now he's everybody's favorite stoned uncle,
right?
And I think it's great, right? He had a ball at the Olympics. He was a great sort of like television attraction, but what the fuck,
yeah,
right?
I mean, like, yeah, murder was the case, right? That they gave him. I mean, that's the Snoop that I know and love,
right?
But I also have this same problem.
A real life Crip. I mean,
I also have the same problem with Ice Cube, and I have the same problem with Ice-T.
Sure.
That,
well, but at least Ice-T. I mean, Ice-T went into the military, went on to break-in, right, and then kind of came. I'm not
right, but he's also and look, I love this show. Don't get me wrong.
Law and Order SVU?
I am ride or die.
With the SVU?
With right? All of them. I don't care.
The monkey was in the basketball.
It's the greatest one.
I know.
It's the best one. But I mean, Ice-T was, I mean, like the first, he had a fucking metal album, Cop Killer. I mean, like,
I know.
And so how does he...
Now he is a cop.
Now how does he flip the script and become this huge propaganda?
Right.
And like to the extent of like, and I know that CSI is a bigger issue in this, like where we think that DNA is everywhere and it's infallible.
We don't realize it's just fucking TV.
Right.
It's all made up shit.
In every case that comes across the cop's desk, they spend millions of dollars gathering forensic evidence to solve.
Man, if only then those budgets would make sense. But again,
I read who was the guy who did The Wire and Homicide: Life on the Streets?
Simon.
David, Simon. Yeah. I read
not David E. Kelly.
Not David E. Kelly. No. I read the book that Homicide, where he was like entrenched with the Baltimore police.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no murders ever get solved in this country. If it like you should kill with impunity, because like really it's very, very hard to find people.
I know. Look, unless there are two guys just saying fuck over and over in different ways, murders aren't getting solved.
But back to your point, I don't like it's happened so slowly, but like, and it happened. So now Ice-T is propaganda. Ice Cube is family friendly, and he comes back every once in a while.
Yeah.
I'll never have dinner with the president, right? I mean, like, so he'll rap. He'll continue to come back to rap, and like, but they've sloughed it off so easily. This idea of like we have a guy who wrote "Fuck the Police" and then is starring in "Are We There Yet?" And like it's
and Ride Along and.
Right, but even like, but Are We There Yet is like a family friendly, like I mean, geared towards kids, and so you dig. I love that Ice Cube, Dad. Can I go and listen to all of his albums?
Absolutely,
right,
absolutely.
Because you want to hear the lyrics,
yeah,
about why did I bang her? Now I'm in the closet looking for a hanger.
Yep.
I mean, it's so it's just and he was happy because it came out looking like his next door neighbor, so it was fine. At the end of the day, he didn't have a abortion.
Yeah, man. Some of the songs, especially on like America's Most Wanted, are just fucking brutal in terms of the misogyny, the levels of like misogyny in those songs. And look, I know all the words. That's not what I'm getting at here, right?
right.
But I mean, if you stop and you're like, oh man, that's
what always like really jolts me is the homophobia, because I wasn't like, I think I knew the misogyny, right? If you're calling someone a bitch or a hoe, you kind of like understand, okay, that was bad from get-go. And I know that the homophobia was bad from the get-go too. But like seriously, when I was in junior high, and this is kind of what's fucked, I guess, is how like invasive it is. But like when you're in junior high and you're listening to Funky Cole Medina and like the like
Sheena was a man.
Right. And it's the 80s and folks down with the ladies. I mean, I'm laughing because it's so fucking ridiculous. It's not because it's funny.
Right,
but
right. We're not condoning their
right. Yeah, I mean, like, there's so much that was yeah. I mean, it's and I mean, even with the Straight Outta Compton, that whole album too. I mean, there's just a lot of like anti-homosexual sentiment, and it's just it's like I guess it was one of those things that, like, Funky Comedina plays on the radio. I mean, so it's just weird.
Well, and like, he's playing it for laughs too, right? And but so that was, but then you kind of extend that into things like Ace Ventura,
right?
Yeah. And it's like, oh no, it's okay because it's a joke. It's like,
or things like In Living Color. I mean, not to pile on to Jim Carrey, but like,
well, I mean,
sure. So I don't know Snoop's transition, but Snoop, like, for a while there he was a complete sellout. Like, he would rap on like Big Time Rush, was like a Nickelodeon manufactured boy band. It wasn't even like anybody good. It was just something they put together for a TV show. And then I don't know. I think we just all kind of like I have no, and like I have no problem with him being this personality. I think Snoop is probably a really fun hang, right? I'm sure he's great.
And he seems like he's having a great time out there. I just and like 4 years ago, right, we were all like freaking out and up in arms because Sha'Carri Richardson tested positive for marijuana.
Right.
How could you possibly like go to this event and represent this country after doing that? And then we're all like, Snoop is our official, who makes no bones about like, I am stoned all the time. And like, again, fine, good for you. I don't care, right? But he has that commercial with the smokeless fire pit and plays the joke, what kind of smoke did you think I was giving up? It's like, so it's not like, NBC puts this guy on TV everywhere, and we all kind of, it's a signifier for.
Do you think he ever slips back? Like, I mean, do you think he ever, I mean, you have so much money, it doesn't matter, right? And you're not, right, but like, do you think you ever does he think he goes back to fucking Crenshaw or our
Crip Snoop?
Right.
Oh, sorry, Crip Snoop came out there for a minute.
If he goes back down to the LBC, does he?
I bet he's not going back to the LBC, man. Maybe he does. Maybe he goes back to the hood and he doesn't ever see chills and he goes to, whatever. But I doubt it.
He doesn't ever have to see his homies in the corner with some suckers all up in their mix, or
no.
It's got 16 in the clip and one in the hole. Yeah, no. It's never has to just
finger on the trigger. Wonder why? Because living in the city is do or die.
Right. Bodies are hauled off. Yeah, well,
motherfucker, I'm
right. Still getting swole off bread and water.
Okay, look.
We talk.
I'm going to go listen.
Podcast, right?
What?
We talk movies in this podcast too, right?
I think so. I think we do. But I have been wanting to go back and listen to The Chronic and Doggy Style. So
they're good albums.
They're fucking bangers. They're great, like front to back. There's no skips on those records. Here's another question, and we'll get to the movies in a second. But I have another question. I have always, and I came up listening to hip hop, right? So in middle school, listening to Public Enemy and D Nice and Nice and Smooth and EPMD and Slick Rick. I mean, just all over the place, right? I was just, I've always found rap to be a music form that tends to deal in singles better than full albums.
Yeah, probably so.
Okay,
yeah.
And I mean overall. I don't mean like you. I know there are plenty. I just gave you two of that I think are excellent, like full length albums. But I just like overall. I remember there's a lot of records that I'm like, oh, okay, like these like handful of songs are really good, but then the rest of it's not, or as a whole doesn't quite come off.
Well, like we talked about last, maybe whatever that. I mean, like as nasty as they want to be, like right. Which again, Two Live Crew is not anywhere near top tier rap of all time. Anything, they're just a party group. Yeah, I think you're right, because I think, but I mean, like the ones, as soon as you say that, the ones that stand out to me as like, as records rather than just singles, like Paul's Boutique to me is the perfect example of a record. And then like, even like something like MF Doom's, but I mean, MF Doom's way later in the game, right? I mean, so it's
but I think like Illmatic is a fantastic like full record, right?
Yeah. EPMD, Paid in Full, I think probably, you know. But then when you go, and maybe Straight Outta Compton, I would say probably works, because like the only time that they really break form is this Something to Dance To, right? So that's the only time where there's no rapping. It's a harken back to their old days where they were wearing, where they were partying with the Feel It Fresh crew and Arabian Prince. Right.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Just an overarching idea. I mean, I've said that before to people, and they're just like, well, what about this and this? And I'm like, no, you're not understanding, I think, what I'm saying here. And then they just get angry, and I'm like, dude, relax. You're whiter than me. No one is like offending your right. Stop. Yeah.
But yeah, like especially a lot of the early groups, right, were only caring about like a lot of like, you're right, a lot of the other songs that they weren't hits, they were just throwaway.
Right.
Even some of the Run DMC stuff is like, absolutely. There's still like fluff in there.
Right. Or it's just kind of like they hadn't figured out stuff. I mean, I think one of the groups, and this will be my last point, who really knew how to put together a full album was De La Soul.
Yeah.
Because everything they did, it was like there was almost no stop.
Right.
It just kept going. Everything just bled into the other. And it was like that on all their records. And they were all very different.
Right.
So, there you go. This has been our new music segment.
White Boys on Rap.
Wilhelm on Rap. There's another reason for you to scream. You brought up homophobia, so let's get into Ganymede.
Ganymede.
I'm neither gay nor bisexual. I'm straight and heterosexual. I'm neither gay nor bisexual. I'm straight and heterosexual.
You will be free, Lee. You defend me. Lord, grant this boy grace. I believe we're dealing with a Ganymede.
What is it?
The Ganymede is an unrepentant homosexual with demonic forces that overtake others as sex urges.
Lee Fletcher looks tragic.
That's why he's hot.
He's totally into me.
Why have you been hanging around Kyle Culper? Baby, do you like him? You need to be careful with him.
Not everybody enjoys the support that you do from your mom.
Lee, do you have reprobate thoughts about the Culper boy?
Do you know what that boy is? I don't want you going to that house.
How many signs do you need, Kyle? Let it go.
That's not him.
There's no such thing as a homosexual.
He's confused, and he's got demons.
We had a deformed child!
You don't have to be scared.
You surrender to God, or you live in hell. Let us pray. Look what you've done to this holy job! Now you go home and you think about it being in hell.
After a small-town wrestling star develops a crush on an openly gay classmate, he is stalked by a grotesque creature that invades his thoughts as he navigates his feelings and struggles to live up to his legacy-obsessed family.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
all right, good talk.
Yeah. All right, folks. Now we're going to talk about Alien Romulus.
Face hugs.
This movie confounded me.
Okay.
Like, I think that the filmmakers have a conviction, clearly.
Yeah.
And I think that it's put together. I think there are pieces of it that work really well. I think, is Daniel the characters? Is that his name? Who's the character? Who's the Ganymede in this movie? I forget his name now.
Hang on, keep talking.
Yeah,
I'll pull it up because it's he and his dad have the same name.
No, he's not the Ganymede though. The Ganymede's the one who's the unrepentant homosexual.
See, I thought the
Lee is the.
I thought the Ganymede was the thing inside of Lee that like wanted. I thought that was the the like hidden homosexual.
We're learning things here,
right? Kyle.
Kyle. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I didn't think. Yeah, okay, because it's Kyle Cupper or Coupler. Culper. There we go.
Yeah.
So the Ganymede is the unrepentant homosexual that lives that lures Lee,
tries to corrupt
lures
Lee,
lures the Christian to the homosexual way, the gay way, if you will, and or even if you won't, that's how it works. So. But that's the Ganymede, because when you get to the preacher, he's like, I had a Ganymede at one point, and it was
because I thought he was saying that he was a Ganymede, but he had been like cured of
he had been cured of homosexuality, because he was able to defeat the demon Ganymede.
Okay.
Now, I think there's a lot of ideas. I think that they clearly went in and wanted to make a horror film wrapped around conversion therapy. But I don't think any of it was really well thought out. Because Lee, so our seminal hero here is Lee. He's the white bread Aryan,
he's the golden child.
He's the golden child. He's the picture of health, and he's handsome. He should be the all-American, right?
This was the other reason I got confused on Ganymede, right? Because Ganymede, like in Greek mythology, is the most beautiful of mortals that then like Zeus kind of kidnapped to like serve him on Mount Olympus, right? But it was like the most perfect specimen. And I think that's what Lee is supposed to be, right? He is like this, all-American, blonde hair, blue-eyed, I don't know, right?
Right.
He's a Greek statue sort of thing.
There's so much this movie, man. So the movie starts off with you're watching this guy sit on a dock, and he has two bricks tied around his. He's got a chain tied around his waist that are tied to two bricks, and he walks off into this lake. And then, of course, you're supposed to give him the notion that he kills himself, and then that's what he did. Because that's the notion you were given. You understand how notions work, Brock? I don't know if you know how film works, where there's pictures that move.
Clearly, I have no idea. Right? I'm sure listeners would agree with me.
So anyway, and then we cut to Lee Fletcher, who is the all-American boy. He's running through the town, and then we cut to Kyle and his girlfriend, his friend at school. Kyle is the Ganymede, or maybe we can debate it whether he was or not.
No.
But he is the out.
I just wasn't clear. Yeah,
he's the out gay kid, and he has a crush on Lee, and so he signs up to do community service with Lee. These two boys come along and make fun of Kyle, and Lee punches them. So Lee's starting to have. It's pretty clear that Lee has homosexual leanings. He's confused about his sexuality. He also goes to an ultra strict church that's kind of in an abandoned building of some sort, right?
Yeah.
They had gone to a bigger church in town, and there had been some sexual shenanigans that happened at a summer camp. And so the son's Big Lee Fletcher, who's Lee Fletcher's father, obviously takes him out and puts him in this more fundamental church. Now, Big Lee Fletcher is also a city councilman or
county
commissioner.
Yeah, like his father before him.
Right.
I mean, so there's a big legacy there in this town, whatever town it is. I don't even know where we are.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's just middle America somewhere, right? I mean, and
where people say Ganymede.
Where people say Ganymede. And so, in order to thank Lee, Kyle comes over to Lee's house. They've been kind of weirdly flirting and dancing around this, and and so Lee brings him up to his room, and they kiss. And then Lee freaks out because whenever he has homosexual thoughts, he sees this creepy ass monster. Yeah. He also sees it when he's with his mother. It's like, it's weird because they show all this like imagery.
Well, because his mother's talking about like, I know Kyle, I know you suck dick. And I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
Right.
And then of course, like that brings out those thoughts and ideas. And then he sees, the monster next to his mom.
So this is where the movie kind of loses its initial thread, right? Because this is not like the homosexual thoughts. And I guess you can argue that he's conflicted in as much that he is supposed to be X, Y, and he's supposed to be this straight-laced student that obviously, but it's weird that the filmmakers chose to show you the demon when he's having homosexual thoughts. Now, I guess you could argue that that's the demon that's trying to fight. He's trying to fight with because he wants to be who his true self.
Because he's repressing.
Right. But it doesn't make it clear.
Right.
And so like when I'm watching the trailer for this film, I was like, it looked interesting and I'm like, I'm going to give this a shot because it's crazy enough. And if it goes into the other way, right? If it was some sort of like Christploitation flick, then it could have been just kind of delicious and stupid, right? I mean, like it could have been like, I'm there for that as well. But in this case, they introduce this demon character that only Lee sees, and he freaks out like when his mom tries to help him and help pray the gay away, and her hand turns kind of bloated and disgusting. Like when he's confronted with any sort of sexual, whether it be hetero or homo sexual situation, he freaks out. He can't handle it, and so like everything that happens to him, he clearly wants to be with Kyle and be gay, but again, we keep seeing this demon and demon. So anyway, he gets caught with Kyle. The preacher brings him into the church and tells the dad, well, I guess I sit down at the dinner table. And it's like, what we've got here, what we got ourselves here is a Ganymede. An unrepentant homosexual. It's David Kutchner. What's his last name? Kutchner.
Yeah, I think he really just wants to get an apartment with Lee.
Right. I love your scent. It's
Ketchner, right? Is that how you say
I think so.
Yeah.
And anyway, he plays this also repressed homosexual priest. Like he has
preacher. He's not a priest.
Right. He's a preacher. Right.
Say what you will about Catholic priests in this conversation, but
and so he takes Lee and like he convinces the family, like, and we've already seen the fire and brimstone sermon from him, and like we didn't have, and it's so like
we had two genders,
right? We didn't have something or lesbian. We didn't have
lesbian this.
Right. No, it was gender this and lesbian.
Okay,
that,
gender
which is really weird. Like, I mean, I can see that actually happening in the sermon, but it was a weird like. Yeah, from a script perspective, it was weird that they weren't a little tighter in that moment. He subjects him to ECT, and kind of like he has this machine. As like
where did he get it? He just like broke into a hospital and stole it.
Right.
Well, I guess you can get lots of things on the dark web.
And then, but like everything else is so like there's no subtlety at all in this movie. Like so, Lee is a wrestler, of course he is.
And there's like closet motifs,
right?
Where there's like a shadow in the closet. I'm like, are you serious?
But his dad at his wrestling match is eating this gigantic pickle, like putting mustard on it and eating this gigantic pickle.
Are you saying that's a phallic symbol?
And it turns out that the guy who killed himself at the beginning was the brother. Although I could never really, I guess it was, but I felt like at moments like that was their first son. I thought they had another kid and that kid was also gay. It was weird, but I mean, obviously I know but it just came, the way it came across in the film. Is how it felt like that.
We get this 1989 title card in the present day, but like that person never comes up again until how much farther in the film?
So we find out the mom's brother was gay. And he killed himself, and she had tried to help him, and she has all this paraphernalia of his, like pictures of his and recordings of his, and the father, the city commissioner or county commissioner is like, he's shitty to everybody, right? He's he yells at his son. It's all this tough love stuff. He yells at his wife
because she had one job to give him a son,
right? And so
it was a defective child.
And so she's like, and so he yells at her and then blames her because of the gay gene in her blood. That's what's caused this. And then she starts having hallucinations about, like, she
sees her brother.
Right. She sees her brother. And then she does a complete. So at the beginning, she is very much, I'm going to pray the gay away from you. And then, like, halfway through the film, conveniently enough, she has a 180 when she sees the ghost of her dead brother, or dead gay brother. And he's like, also, come on. Can this dead gay brother be more stereotypical as far as, like, he's
dangly
talking,
earring. He's got this, like,
effeminate voice. Like, I'm fabulous, honey. Like, and like, and he's like, as he's in zombie makeup,
but he's also sort of dressed a little punkish. I mean,
right. I guess it's 89, right? So we can.
Yeah. I mean, okay, but right. It doesn't. It was pretty stereotypical,
and then, you know, it all kind of, so she helps him. They find out that the father, Big Lee, is having an affair with his administrative assistant, which of course he is. Which
was obvious from the
which we knew. And then that's basically it.
Yep.
Like, I mean, like, so, because at the end of the day, and, you know, we find out one of the boys was also gay. That's really was neither here nor there. Like, again, but another one of those things was like, oh, okay, so we're going to take all of the stereotypes and we're just going to push them out to the edges, right? Yeah. The only person who has a decent arc is Kyle.
Yeah.
Like, and it's, I mean, like, he's the only one, and I think he acquits himself well of this film. I think he's a really good actor.
Yeah, I did too.
And I don't think Lee's necessarily bad. I just don't think he was given anything to do with this role.
Right. I mean, his whole point is to just kind of stand there and look pretty.
Right. But we're given the preacher, we're given the politician, and of course they're ultra right wing Christian nationalist, etc. We're given the mom who's trying to be the traditional, the trad wife.
The trad wife, yeah.
But still has these
votes
demons
against her own interests.
Right. Of course the politician is sleeping around. Of course the gay kid in town is a minority. I mean,
and
like,
the politician uses the Bible to sort of legitimize his cheating.
Right, right. And then the bully who hates gays is also a closeted gay who goes to a neon.
It's a neon public restroom,
right? So he can
hook up.
So he can do the foot tap and the wide pee stand, so they can have sex. Yeah. And then, like I said, basically. All of the demonic visions, Lee finally confronts and figures out that he was the Ganymede all along, I guess, or the demon all along. So he's looking at himself. He pulls the face off of the demon.
The monster was me.
Right. And so then he comes to, like, with his mom's backing. What happens? They end up in the hospital.
So
I can't remember now why the hell they ended up in the hospital.
He broke into the church to shock himself again, because he's having a freak. He's had a series of freak outs.
That's when he pulls the demon,
and he
face
basically
off.
Like ruins everybody else's like day all the time. And
right.
so, but
oh yes, I completely forgot about the piano.
So Kyle has this like massive musical moment, right? And Lee freaks out at the end of it, and Kyle's like, "What the fuck is your problem?" Right? Okay,
can we stop for a second? Though?
Yes.
So the musical performance. Which is, so Kyle has a one-man talent show evidently in this school, in a town that for all intents and purposes hates gays.
Oh, absolutely.
Like aside from the neon bathroom and
everyone
Kyle,
is repressed and closeted and is like,
right.
But
seriously, everyone is gay in this movie.
Yes.
I think that's the message, is that everyone is gay.
Absolutely. We're all a little gay.
Because the preacher's gay, Kyle's gay, Lee's gay, the bully's gay.
Right.
All right. Oh, anyway, so back to
the mom's
my point.
brother was gay. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And our zombies are gay. Our demons are gay. This is a wonderful film. So in this town where everyone is gay, but they all hate gays, Kyle has a one-man talent show.
Yeah.
Which he's hinted at throughout the movie. He did a little bit of a rehearsal, and it is a laptop where he's doing DJ work, a xylophone, and then like a keyboard.
Yeah. Like a Casio tone.
And people are losing their shit over this. Like his
and he kind of twirls.
Right. His guidance counselor she says he dresses him up like Liberace. So again, a town
like a young Liberace.
Town that hates gays and a school that certainly hates gays. And she's already, and the counselor's already advised, like, look, I'm on your side, but stay away from Lee because his dad's a piece of shit.
Right.
Like, she gives him a shirtless costume to wear. And a kid who's like not that confident in himself at the beginning of the movie, like there's no way he's wearing that on stage.
I know it's strange because on one hand he's like very open, right, but then he doesn't seem to really possess that kind of arrogance that you would need, and I don't mean that necessarily in a bad way, but that kind of like that arrogance and confidence in one's own body to put on a jacket like that and have.
Right. And
have your chest just out there
in a town where like, yeah, you're used to getting beaten up. And so you just don't care anymore kind of thing. Right. You're just going to be, you're just going to be gay because
I know I'm going to get my ass kicked after wearing this jacket, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Right. And so he plays music on a laptop and then he's accompanying himself with a xylophone. And it's not bad, but most of the music's on the laptop.
Right.
And then Lee screams out and says no or stop or whatever. And so everyone is loving this performance.
Yeah.
It is the craziest musical performance this town has ever seen.
Man, it's the cat's pajamas. It's not
like to the point where like Lee or Kyle's friend like has that graffiti bomb that comes out from behind him. Everyone loses their shit. Like they've never seen graffiti bombs before.
It was confetti, not graffiti.
Yeah, sorry. What am I even saying? Sorry. Right.
A graffiti bomb might have been. Yeah,
that would have been pretty cool.
Really
actually,
cool.
Right.
Yeah.
So Lee is embarrassed because he's ruined everyone's day. He goes to the church. He goes to the church and like turns up the ECT machine to 11, as high as it can go, and shocks the shit out of himself.
And then Kyle breaks in to try and help. And then the preacher comes in and starts beating everybody up.
Starts to choke out Kyle.
And then the mom comes in with her butcher knife and stabs the preacher.
Right. Which I did not think she was going to turn. I figured she was just going to go and kill like herself or somebody else.
I didn't know where she was going.
I figured like, did you know that was Robin Lively?
What?
Wasn't it Robin Lively in that movie? I think maybe I'm wrong. And I saw that.
You're right.
Like that does not look like Robin Lively.
No.
The fake love interest in Karate Kid 3.
I was going to say, right.
And Teen Witch is in this film. Anywho.
Wow. No, I didn't.
So Robin Lively, Mrs. Fletcher.
And then the dad from Stranger Things.
Right. Yeah. And so they stab the preacher. She's also found out that by this time that her husband's having an affair.
Yeah.
Evidently, he was just fucking his assistant in the driveway.
That was weird, right? Like next to the car.
Right.
Here, sweetie, let's just put down a drop cloth.
I'm not even sure they did that.
Yeah, I know. No. Concrete burn is from the Lord. And
then they all go to the hospital and the dad goes Big Lee goes to see if his son has been cured of homosexuality, and it finds out that his wife has turned against him.
Yeah.
And that Lee holds the hand of Kyle while he's in bed, and he's like, "Yeah, fuck you, I'm out. I'm gonna go commission somewhere else." And then he has a new son with a mistress, but everyone's happy now. Even the bullies. At the end of the day, the bully comes over to the house, and we're all having dinner. He
apparently is sort of like open now and kind of out, right?
And this town loves gays now.
Now,
I think it was all by the power of the xylophone.
The sun is shining. There are freshly baked cookies.
And the Ganymede has been squashed, I guess.
Banished.
And so, and the preacher leaves town and buys a new church somewhere else with a
he's eyeing the construction workers.
Right, hot construction workers outside. This was the weirdest fucking movie.
It was
man.
Weird.
All jokes aside, it just didn't. Like, I had no idea how to. Like, I know it wanted to make this horror film based on conversion therapy, and it just had no idea how to do that.
It never coalesced, did it? It never really came together and gelled. Because I thought, I was watching about halfway through. I'm like, I feel like this is more interesting as an idea than it is an actual film.
Right.
Just because they just never seem to kind of stitch everything together.
Well, and like I said, it's never really clear in the sense of the Ganymede, like of where the horror actually lies.
Right.
Is it you being untrue to yourself or trying to repress your sexual feelings? Or is it this external thing? Because again, you don't necessarily know. I mean, you get the idea, right? But you don't necessarily know when you first meet Lee if he's really, truly repressing homosexual feelings. And so, and again, in this movie could have easily been Kyle corrupting Lee. I mean, if it had gone that route, right? I mean, you could see where, Kirk Cameron finances this and
right.
It could be that kind of film.
Right. It's contagious. I mean,
right.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't think it leaned enough into the horror either.
No, it's not scary. It's not
make
enough.
it a monster movie, right? Really make it a monster movie. And this is the other thing. I mean, we've talked about this a lot, where so many horror films end up being Trojan horses for these other ideas, and because they lean so much into horror, those ideas seem to, I think, have more weight or pack more punch when you start to dig into it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and no one's going to watch this.
Yeah.
No one's going to watch this.
No, but it's gotten good ratings too. I mean,
their first film. Did you watch Pig Hag?
No,
I don't. I mean, look, I would say Pig Hag which is a weird fucking title for a film.
Yeah. But
it is about this heavy set woman who's like kind of struggling with loneliness and trying to find her place, etc. So he lives in Los Angeles. And like I'm pretty sure the person who played the counselor is the main character in Pig Hag. But it's filmed differently, and in the way that the structure of the story, it's a more interesting story. The way that it's cut, I guess. But it's, I don't know, it's still kind of like weirdly cloying, and like it doesn't, and it's like also just, I don't know, it's kind of just a uncomfortable watch, and just in general, and it's also the payoff's not really there either. So, but I just wonder, like, this movie. I mean, again, we talk about films like, well, how does this? Like, who finances this film? How did they get like the? I mean, this is not. It's not like you're getting these people for, they're not charging that much, but you're also not getting Robin Lively and Donnie Darko dad and Stranger Things and Kochner and for free.
Right.
I mean, like, and to that end, I mean, like, the special effects aren't terrible. I mean, they're not
right.
So it looks competently shot, right? It's just, it's just kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
And you're right. If they wanted this movie to get seen, the messaging needed to be way more subtle, and the horror needed to be way more ramped up.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: easily enough just to say the Ganymede was the preacher and the dad all along.
Sure.
Right? It's not like there could have been some sort of like stupid library revelation where they pull a book off the shelf and immediately open the page they need and say, oh, wait a minute.
Right.
The Ganymede's not an unrepentant homosexual. It's, a person who's trying to repress your true self or some bullshit.
It's an entity trying to keep you
right.
Yeah. From becoming what you should. Yeah. And at that point, you wouldn't have to kind of like play around this will they, won't they?
Right.
They just do. And then, but like, why am I seeing this thing? Like, why am I?
And the ending, if the ending is Lee realizing that, like, at no point do you ever feel like Lee actually really truly wants to be who his father wants him to be. Right.
Yeah.
If the reveal, and I guess this does sound kind of hackneyed, but if the reveal all along is Lee finally coming to realize that, like instead of the dad turning the back on him, he turns his back on his dad, and so that drives his dad to go off with his mistress, and
because then he says, "I do not want your life."
Right. Being a homosexual in whatever town this is may have been the opportunity of a lifetime, but I am not a Ganymede.
I do not. For you. Okay, let's on that note, let's go to another movie that is kind of all over the place, and let's talk about Alien Romulus.
Run.
While scavenging the deep ends of a derelict space station, a group of young space colonists come face to face with the most terrifying life form in the universe. Okay,
the Ganymede.
The Ganymede in xenomorph form.
Alien Ganymede.
Okay, but none of that is actually true. That they're not scavenging a derelict space station. They're going there to get stuff so they can get off of.
Right.
They're mining
they're
planet.
Specifically trying to get to another planet.
It's not like, hey, let's just go. Look, I bet there's copper up there. Let's go strip it and sell it at the junkyard.
Let me ask you before we dive into this. Is it possible to make a scary alien movie now? Knowing what you know, knowing everything that there is it possible to make a...
You mean like aside from a jump scare?
Right.
I think it kind of is, because there are certain things that we're going to expect to see.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just waiting for it, aren't we?
Right.
So I don't know
we're waiting for chest bursters. We're waiting for the creepy background to move.
Right. And I mean, the
waiting for someone to get acided.
The scariness in the first one and the original was the kind of not knowing. Right.
Right.
The sort of the tension in waiting. Right. I mean, like, the whole Hitchcock thing. Right. It's not the bang. It's the anticipation. Right. But in this one, it's like we're all like, OK, where is it? We know what we're going to get. And I think what we're really then looking for or hoping to see is some kind of innovative kill.
Right.
Some new, like, OK, what can you do? OK, play the hits, but also, like, let's see what you kind of got, like, for the next album. Right. I mean,
right. What are the 4 songs you put on your greatest hits album that make people buy it for some reason?
Right. Oh, was that a demo track?
Right.
Alternate version.
Right.
Yeah. Reprise.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I mean, the more that I separate myself from this film, the less and less I like it.
Yeah, I've kind of just forgotten about it. I mean,
and that's the bummer part of it all, is that I feel like it's a weird exercise for Fede Alvarez to really try to pay that much homage to the all 4 films, really.
Right.
And so, like, because I know there are Easter eggs in the Evil Dead, but I don't feel like it was a callback to Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, right?
Yeah.
There's not so much that I'm like constantly reminded of these other films. And I think that the real like failing of this movie is that it just won't ever let those go. And this was billed as, it's a return to form. A return to form doesn't mean that we're it's not the fucking, the whatever the Force Awakens shit. Right. Which was essentially note for note the same which Star Wars. It was just, with updated special effects and a bigger Death Star.
So stupid.
But, this had a decent idea. And I like these pared down stories that can exist in this universe, because I mean, the first 2 stories aren't, the first one, again, they come across a ship, then they come across the alien. The second one, they're terraforming and et cetera. It gets to be crazy in 3 and 4 when you're talking about, prison planets, et cetera, then you start to lose a lot. Right. And then with Prometheus and Covenant, you start trying to tell the origin story. No one gives a shit. I mean, like, I don't mind Prometheus, to be quite honest, but like, it's such a setup to a longer story that never pays off.
Right. I mean, I think that's the reason to mine Prometheus, is because nothing really comes after it. Right. But I think, I mean, so like, does this franchise work best when it is just really kind of a, straightforward horror sci-fi action flick? I mean, because this is basically like a haunted house movie, right?
Yeah,
I mean that's the big
so was
part.
the first one too, right? I mean, like
sure, it's like a haunted house monster movie kind of thing, but like Prometheus and Covenant start to kind of get bogged down in themes and ideas,
right,
and I think especially in Covenant that's kind of the failing of it, right, or that leads to its failure. And I think 3 and 4 are trying to do some kind of mix of things, and like nothing really like quite comes together,
right?
But 1 and 2 are really just kind of. I mean, there's a little bits of stuff, right? I mean, little bits of like evil corporations, but not a lot.
Well, and it's so simplistic, right?
That's what I mean.
It's so, I mean, so like it's so easy to be like, oh, well, shit, we know that this is like clearly, yeah. I mean, we know that Wayland is a bad corporation, and that they're really only wanting to.
Yeah, I mean, we get a little bit more of that too in the second one with Paul Reiser and kind of him being the avatar for that company, right?
Right.
But this one feels like it's kind of betwixt and between, like the themes and ideas, and then just the kind of scaled down horror flick. And
it just feels like it doesn't, like we already, like you said, we already know, right, that Wayland's bad. We are, so you're not, as much as I hate to say that, we've said this before, that you have to watch all of the IP to understand a story. Mm-hmm. You're not introducing any sort of new ideas that, oh, okay, so Wayland Corp is generating aliens now, and that, of course, they're going to get loose and things are going to happen.
I mean, the new interesting idea to me with the corporation was this kind of like manufactured slave labor. Right. It's like, oh no, we upped the quota. And you're like, you can't do that. We just did. Sorry. I mean, that to me is a more interesting idea than like, hey, we're an evil corporation looking for like aliens to go work on these planets. But like that's dropped so fast.
Well, and this idea of like that this idea that you are going to merge alien DNA and human DNA. I mean, I guess ultimately that becomes the payoff, but that should have just been the story then at that point too, right?
Right.
I mean, that's,
right.
And so, or you just take a pared down story where a bunch of fucking, now they're just fucked, right? I mean, and so, and then like you said, make the kills cool, because everyone would have been fine had this movie just been Jason X, right? I mean, like that's essentially what it is, right? Yeah. A bunch of kids go up to a spaceship, they come across a killing machine.
I mean, like it would have been better if they were stripping it for copper instead of, instead of actually like looking for a way to a better life, which is what they're doing, right? Because capitalism and corporation, neoliberalism has gone to the nth degree on this fucking planet, right? And these kids are like, we gotta get out of here. We gotta find a better way to live. This is not it. Right. And then they all get killed. It's like, well, this is the message, right? Just work, shut up and work. Right. But yeah, I mean, it's caught between two stores and it's not really doing service to either. And then the other thing that it brings up, which I thought was really, or could have been really interesting, is that idea of like the magical Negro character. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. But it didn't really do anything with that.
No,
it just, that character just kind of remains in service to Kaylee Spaney. Kaylee Spaney.
Yeah, Ganymede is how you pronounce her last name, I think.
He just remains in service to Ganymede the entire time. Yeah, I mean, so
look, I think all of it aside, right? I mean, the story is fine. They're going up to, I mean, like the story is not great, but it doesn't have to be. They're going up to a ship and they're trying to get the cryostasis shit so they can go to a better planet, and they have a limited amount of time, and of course so the clock's against them because they're gonna the ship's gonna crash into
asteroid belt,
or the rings around the planet or whatever, right? And of course,
I thought they were just magic. I thought those rings were just magic space stones. I didn't realize they were like
full of shit. Yeah, like you could walk on them.
That's
and stuff.
Terrible,
right?
That's terrible. I'm like. I'm kidding. Of course I knew that. It just would have been cooler if it was magic space.
And then, you want some, like what you expect Fetty to bring to the table is gore, and some cool kills. Yeah. And the only one that you really get is the X-ray machine chest burster scene, which was cool.
Yeah.
And then everything else feels way too video game-ish.
Yeah.
So like for the most part, yes, it is cool to see. I wish there had been more hidden from the trailer, because the face huggers in the water were cool, right? The face huggers really running and just causing shit. That was a lot of fun. But like but then we devolve into, okay, well, there's just a bunch of aliens in the wall again. Like, and so like we see creepy HR Giger shit, like just kind of creep around, right? Yeah. Which we've seen in all of them. There's no reason for that. We understand as you're walking through a darkened hallway that at some point a tail's going to come down and stab somebody in the neck, right? I mean, what have you. And so then we get this zero gravity acid. The other kill that was cool was the acid kill, the drip acid kill, because we've never seen that before. So seeing it go through a guy's chest and through his heart, I thought that was cool. Yep. But the scene where all of the acid blood, she's like shooting the aliens in 0G, and all, she has to kind of navigate through the acid blood. I mean, that's okay, I guess. But the problem there, but there's no real stakes there either, because like we know she's our final girl. I mean, and it's like, okay, let's see how we film this and how we do it. And I guess the idea, the kind of zero gravity idea, is interesting, but yeah, right. Well, and it only exists as a plot device, right? Just because you know that this ship has to reset its gravity at some point, so it's going to slam them down, right? Yeah, I mean, like. It just evolves into kind of a silly, like I said, silly video game. Like even the jump scares at the end, where the alien human hybrid like comes down and like, but the problem with that jump scare is that there's so much sound going on in the movie. Like it doesn't, like, it's not even scary. It's just because you see a face come up on the screen that, but you're also so involved in like this thing that's already falling. Like, what do I give a shit if there's something else that comes and jumps into my view? Yeah. And of course we're dancing around like but I think we could have forgiven all of that and just had this film be fine, right? This could have been a straight solid 3-star hour and a half thrill ride of okay, cool. We didn't make any new ground, but we didn't set anything back. But the problem is that they keep continually introducing, and there's one glaring example, but they keep introducing and bringing us back out of the film that we're watching to remind us of the films that have already come. Hey, remember Alien? And so like, I don't, why have your synthetic human say, oh yeah, stay away from her, you bitch. Yeah. And like to say it in such a way that's like halting, it's, and then to have Kaylee have the same like turn head alien mother, screaming down her neck. But and then there's just no fucking reason to bring Ian Holm back. No. It's the dumbest thing. It's not the same. And it's not the same android. It's not the same. It's synthetic. The dumbest role he's ever played. It's the dumbest role he's ever played. And look, they put out these articles about like, oh, Ian Holm's family was fine with it, and like he thought he'd been kind of forgotten by Hollywood. I don't give a shit. I mean, look, I don't want Ian Holm to feel bad. I mean, but he's dead, so let's not pretend. And most people weren't like. There wasn't a huge outcry, a GoFundMe for Ian Holm, likeness rights to be in this movie because Ian Holm has been forgotten by Hollywood. It's not like there's a Ian Holm fan club out there. It's like, finally, we've done right by this guy who's been shit upon Hollywood forever. I know. So immediately, as soon as you see him, so there's a reason you didn't put him in the fucking trailer, right? Right. Is that we have to stop doing this shit. It's ridiculous. And it's not that it even looks bad necessarily, but I am immediately taken out of this movie. Like, I just don't know why if it's not the same synthetic, like, it's not like we've already gotten past stormtroopers that don't look like Jango. I mean, like, it's like we can make the jump that Wayland Corp would have made a bunch of different likenesses for synthetic humans. Why would you make them all look the same? And you already fucking did Prometheus. Right. So you've got Fassbender. You've got Henriksen still like alive. I mean, I know that you. But but it could have been anybody. It didn't even have to. It did not. And you clearly have a new synthetic in this film, right? Why not have that fucking guy play dual roles? That would have been interesting, actually. Yeah, I thought he was really good. He was really good. I thought he was. Yeah, he was the best part of the film. I mean, we are 50 fucking years away from, I'm almost from 46, whatever, years away from, I don't know, 44. What is it? It's 44, 45 years away from the original Alien.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you feel old?
I every day. Yeah. Not
yeah.
because
You know,
of Alien,
so today I was speaking of this. Today I was I was on campus and I saw this girl wearing like a corduroy flat cap and I was like, hey, nice hat. That's all I said. And she goes, thanks. It was my dad's, or it was my father's. And I took that as, you're old, don't talk to me.
Right.
That's all I heard. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
I've got a rape whistle. Just stay away from me.
It wasn't, dude. I didn't say.
We all know what nice like, hat means.
Hey there. Nice hat, lady.
Hey, little girl. I like your hat.
How much for the hat? That just got really creepy and it didn't need to. It's my fault.
So I mean, it's just a weird choice. Yeah. And so like that it's such a huge part of it too. Even had you played it where they'd stayed in because they introduced him in the shadows, but there's just no fucking need to have that actor.
Right. It could have been anyone. It just didn't matter. And Hollywood forgot that this was Bilbo, right? I mean, this guy was in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. And
I look, the article, it's a bunch of horse shit.
Okay.
It's not like, it's not like they wrote it because they knew they were going to get flack for it. I mean, because they would have put it in the trailer.
Yeah.
Like that's the type of shit, right? To get people back into the theaters. Remember the movies you loved, and they show the fucking
they show Ian Holm, and you're like,
seriously, no. I mean, but like you can picture this trailer where they step down and it's the fucking Reeboks, right? And then there's like some sort of like fucking loader, you know, that mechanical loader. I'm sure there's a fucking name for it. And then there's, you know, why not bring fucking Tom Skerritt back then, or like. Yeah, or Yaphet Kotto.
Well, didn't they do that in Maverick?
Yeah. I mean, Sigourney Weaver's still alive. I mean, she's still. Why don't you like bump against her fucking?
I was waiting for that to happen. I was waiting just to see like her asleep in the like cryopod or whatever.
Right.
So I was like, I don't want to see if there's a mid-trailer or mid-credits stinger here.
You know what's weird about this movie too and what the first movies did so well is that none of these characters are memorable at all. Like in Alien 1 and Alien 2, like the characters are like, you know them, right? I mean, like you're familiar with all of them. These are just nondescript 90210 kids.
Yeah, and like I think it's kind of cool that we have a cast really of like
diverse characters and
right and like young up and coming actors, but they're just not given enough time on screen.
There's no personality
or anything
to any of them.
Interesting to do.
Like
right,
there's supposed to be like there's one that's the leader, and then there's one that hates synthetics because right. I mean
but like that's barely touched on, and when it is, it's just in a quick like exposition thing.
Right.
I mean. And that's the other thing. Like, so the planet they're going to doesn't allow synthetic humans. I mean, look, this is or synthetic whatever, right? I don't know. Right. I don't know what you want to call them. There's another kind of idea that just goes nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just like, could we interrogate that maybe? And I guess it doesn't matter because they don't get there. Oh, spoiler. But at the same time, okay, then like, why bring it up? I mean, because there's something there, right? About fucking immigration. And I'm not saying that everything has to be a political fucking issue in movies, right?
And like you said, like this is a perfect metaphor for women's healthcare in the United States,
right?
Being forced to have your rapist baby.
That's but right. I mean, so that's like these movies are all in some way about, if not like the violence of sex or the violence that can be done through sex, about like childbirth and childbearing, right? Yeah. And the destruction that it does to a woman's body, or could do to a woman's body, right? But I mean, that's all sort of subtextual and just for like idiots like us to kind of think about.
right, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like you bring this shit up and then it just like you just drop it as fast as you do, and I don't.
And the alien human hybrid, which is not necessarily totally new. They've done that in 4. That wasn't part of Resurrection as well. I do think that it did enough to like kind of bring you back. But even still, like the get away from you, you bitch, or stay away from me, you bitch, was really just so jarring. And the end of it, while the creature design is relatively cool, it's still just kind of a rehash of both of the other first two movies. Yep. And so I think, I do think that this just kind of like falls. I don't know, like, even of all these movies that we're talking about that are getting like good reviews, I just don't see. And like I say, maybe we've said this in the past, but like maybe it's not possible to do this anymore. But like I just don't see these things existing beyond. They're having a very long shelf life. Like Deadpool Wolverine is not going to have a long shelf life. There's not going to be people that are going to go back and say Deadpool Wolverine is my favorite film of all time, right? I mean, that I can't imagine not.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they will, because there'll be nothing else in movie theaters ever.
Right. This is going to be the only movie that exists.
First and last film that someone saw is also their favorite.
True. Good point.
Everything else is just a TV movie, man.
But like, are people going to be excited about the 4K release of Alien Romulus? Also, the fucking name is dumb. Like that whole Remus and Romulus thing was really stupid.
Can you tell me how that like played a part?
No, I can't.
Okay.
Like, so like,
I was thinking about that. I'm like, did I miss something?
Why make that a part of it? Why is that part of the name? Like, I just like call it Alien. I don't even know what you call it. I don't care what you call it.
What was it, like a weapons manufacturing war base or something? I mean, like,
I don't know.
Were they secretly trying to colonize a new Rome? Bring back the Empire?
That's what we're trying. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, like, the whole intent, right, is I guess Wayland's trying to create a better worker at the end of the day, with the alien hybrid of, but
that's not what Romulus did. I
mean, right? No, I know that.
Okay, I mean, like, that's why I'm like, I don't understand.
Which clearly they haven't, like, they never got to that level of testing because they didn't see what came out at the end of the day.
Right.
And also was just like wildly birthed, like just, yeah. Anyway, okay, it's disappointing. Yeah. I mean, like, it's one of those things where you hope against hope that this is going to be cool. And like, it's just, like, I really dread, and I know that you're not probably excited about this at all, but like, I really dread Beetlejuice.
No, I'm interested in, look, I loved Beetlejuice, right? Why would you think that I didn't like Beetlejuice? I don't know, because you're just you're a negative Nancy. I mean, this is true. I'm like this like fucking snob of a person, but I really like Michael Keaton. I mean, I was the right age to see Beetlejuice, right? When it first came out. And so I thought it was a lot of fun, even if I didn't quite understand everything as I did, like, you know, watching it later. So no, I'm excited, but I mean, excited is not the right word. What I dread is like then all the callbacks, right? Like, are they going to do,
which is what this feels like, right?
The Banana Boat song. Are they going to do,
right?
Are the shrimp cocktails going to come alive again? You know, we've already seen like some of the same characters from
right. And we got CGI Jeffrey Jones into the film.
Like, yeah.
So finally get him to come back in his resurrection tour. He's still alive, right? He's just obviously a pedophile. And
I was going to say, it's just, maybe that's just part of the problem. Is he's still alive.
Right.
I'm not, you know.
It's what's stopping Ferris Bueller 2 from being made.
9 times.
Speaking of like Snoop Dogg type stuff, like there's all kinds of shit that we just forget about, right? Like Matthew Broderick like literally killed somebody. Like, right. I mean, there's all this kind of like Hollywood scandal that we just don't fucking talk about.
Right.
Like Matthew Broderick he didn't even like skip a beat.
Nope.
Like, at least Rebecca Gayheart had to go through some shit. Not that she ever really kind of had her career resurrected, but but man, I mean, like,
speaking of Rebecca Gayheart, sorry. Speaking of Rebecca Gayheart, I did not realize that the mother in Longlegs, Alicia Witt, was in the Urban Legends movie.
Oh, really?
She's the main character.
Right. That's when they were trying to make Alicia Witt happen.
Right.
That was the big year of Alicia Witt. And like, they tried to make her happen. And it just didn't work. She's like one of those great cases of like, she was an it girl for like a hot minute, and then it just never panned out.
But I didn't put that together when I saw Longlegs, because I'm like, she's good in this. I'm like, who is that? I'm like, oh shit, that's the with Rebecca Gayheart and Joshua Jackson. And Jared Leto.
Jared Leto.
There you go. I mean, right.
And Tasha Gregson Warner. And
yes, she's another one who I just have a giant crush on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even today.
No, yeah,
but
absolutely. Maybe she's listening. Maybe she'll like one of our Instagram posts. We'll go from
maybe
we'll get her on the pod.
Maybe
there's an extra chair right over there,
and we can ask her all the questions about her mom and dad.
Right? Yes, I really want to know. Is there like a
what can you tell?
Or James Toback? I just want to know about James Toback too.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
she's got to have great stories.
Oh my god. Okay.
Anyway, yeah. I mean, your mileage may vary.
I think if you're a big fan of the franchise, you're going to get more out of this than someone like me.
But is anybody a big fan of the franchise now?
I have no idea, right? Like why do they keep making these movies then?
You know why they keep making these movies. I mean, like, because again, they're I mean, like, and I hate to be the fucking same fucking person that everyone else is, but the well's fucking dry.
No, I know.
And like, they're not.
It's just all IP, right?
This is all we are going to get.
I know.
And this is the death knell up. Like, I mean, like, it is. It's.
I know.
I don't know who's going to finance the mid-level adult dramas anymore.
Yeah.
And like, so yeah, this is, we're hanging our hat on independent. Like I would much rather Fede Alvarez make another, just go back to horror, right? I mean, or go back to something else, like.
Right.
But it's because as soon as you drop these people into like IP, like take the fucking Eli Roth Borderlands. I mean, like, like why would you give Eli Roth $100 million? What has he ever done that would make you think that he can handle $100 million? Well, the House with the Clock in the Walls, or I mean, maybe. Like, I don't have any idea how much that movie costs. Yeah. But like, I mean, sure, you can deliver a film. But like, why? And it's not like, I don't think Borderlands is totally Eli Roth's fault. I mean, it's
sure.
But it's not like what visual, like, I don't know. It's just, it's a weird.
But isn't he a better filmmaker who is like on a shoestring?
Right.
Budget.
Right,
I mean, isn't that probably when he's going to work his best?
I'm not really sure. Look, I think he is a wildly overrated filmmaker.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan.
I liked Cabin Fever. Cabin Fever. I liked the Hostel movies just because I liked that those movies came out at a time where American imperialism was at its height.
Right.
And it was an interesting, and like no one talked about that. No one talked about those films as a backlash to American imperialism. And they were the perfect example of that. And like, especially as horror is a message genre, like no one caught on that. And I just got to drive somebody like Eli Roth crazy.
Right.
That he didn't, but so I like those types of films, like where he has to kind of really struggle to make something work. But I mean, not to like shit on him. Like I said, it's not his fault that Borderlands sucked. It was just like, why are you making that movie?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like to me, like getting, like, I mean, Fede Alvarez, I think if you're going to get any of these like independent filmmakers to make big time IP or Marvel shit, I don't know.
And they keep trying. I mean, right. I mean, I always.
And this will be seen this will be seen as a success. I mean, like,
sure, because it's already making money, right?
Right.
I mean, it's like,
but here's the thing, and what I don't think, I mean, they're making money. I think what's interesting is I think people really want to go back to the theater. I think there's a desire but I mean, at the end of the day, there's just nothing at the theaters. Like, I mean, like if you went every single week one time, you've seen everything. I mean, I've literally seen everything.
I was going to say you have, yeah.
Like, and it's weird because like it makes something like having the AMC A list or like a Draft House Pass or whatever else. I know Cinemark and Regal have their same thing. Like it makes it less valuable, and in turn less valuable to Cinemark, Regal, AMC, whatever, because they need people to get in to buy popcorn buckets and tickets and not tickets, but I mean like popcorn and candy and Cokes and shit, right?
My overpriced Reese's Pieces,
right? Which is why there's so much like repertory stuff. I just feel like that those theaters also aren't kind of digging into that it just seems like you would have always somebody running 25 years later type of thing. Like, especially because you've got, I know that there are theaters right now running like 1999 stuff
and 84 stuff.
Right. Yeah. So, but I don't know, but even still though, those are only running for like one day at a time type shit. It's not like there's like,
can't,
like, why not put Karate Kid back in the theaters for 2 weeks? Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Whatever. I don't know.
You can't make those things like event viewings.
You don't have to anyway.
Well, no, but what I mean is like, so you put them in there for like 1 or 2 days. And if
it's going to show on a Wednesday at 5 o'clock,
you're not, people aren't fucking going.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Let's, I know. But I got to get this. We just got to get this next film out of the way. I can't.
Well, we're going to spend 2 hours on it, just shitting on it. So it's fine. It's like,
you can't, I'm just going to sit here and just like be quiet. Okay, so let's talk about Smiley Face.
Every now and then, a film comes along that changes everything.
What were we talking about?
This is the story of how a person got from point A to point Z. Step 1, the cupcakes.
I recognized then the true nature of the cupcakes I had consumed.
Step 2, the deal.
Meet me with the money at 3.
Oh no.
Jane! Yep, it's pretty funny.
Come on, man, it's gonna be transformative.
Anna Faris, John Krasinski, Danny Masterson, and
Carrot Top.
Smiley Face.
That was intense.
See what all the buzz is about.
Okay.
Gregg Araki's 2007 stoner comedy. After a young actress unknowingly eats her roommate's marijuana cupcakes, her day becomes a series of misadventures.
Right. She was already high, and then she ate the cupcakes.
I did not like this movie. I mean,
well, because like if you boiled it down, like 73% of it is just Anna Faris, head cocked back, looking upwards,
going, whoa.
Right. Like the only thing this movie does is it predicts Danny Masterson being a piece of shit.
I know, like the skull fucking thing was just way too prescient, I thought.
It's crazy
it's
how
weird.
Like, he's a bad guy from Jump Street. And like, so I'm just sitting there going, okay, well, at least we won't have to see him on screen much. Because it really is kind of awkward.
Yeah.
So this movie sucks.
It really does.
Like it like of all of the, like, okay, there are stoner comedies like Dazed and Confused and other ones that kind of have a narrative that exists in the universe that it sets up, right?
Yeah.
Idyllic small town 1976 Texas, right? Or there's other films like that. And then there's the Cheech and Chong, nice, Still Smoking, Nice Dreams. There's the like Bill and Ted's not really technically a stoner comedy, I guess, but like, they're Harold and Kumar, these movies that are based on like road trips or from getting, this aimless getting from point A to point B and then just kind of getting yourself into trouble. That's what this film tries to do. Yeah. But every character in this movie is there. All of them are crazy, right? They're all caricatures. And like it's one thing for, it's one thing for that to happen occasionally. If Harold and Kumar will happen occasionally, but like every single other character that interact with her is a ridiculous example of whatever that person is supposed to be doing. Her agent, that she's an actress, her agent's a dumbass. Like the people that she goes to do an audition for, they're weirdly like tied into like everything that happens in this movie. They're all such stupid plot contrivances. Like here's the thing. You expect your main stoner character to bumble to and fro, right? And to fuck shit up, but not because everything is so just set up for that, right? Yeah. She should fuck shit up because like this movie sets it up to be kind of like that, right? She's supposed to pay the electrical bill. For some reason, she has to do it in person in 2007.
Right, which is weird.
Right. She has to go to an audition and I don't know.
She has to rebake the cupcakes.
Right. She has to rebake the cupcakes.
Then she's got to pay her dealer back.
This movie's full of a lot of people too, like Jamin Mays and
Jane Lynch, Adam Brody.
Krakowski or whatever.
Jim from The Office. Right. Yeah, that guy.
Not Krakowski.
Roscoe Lee Brown.
Yeah.
Brian Posen is the bus driver.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's so like, but I mean, like, at no point, I want to know what the fucking script of this was like, because at no point do you give, I don't think Anna Faris is probably a very good writer. I think that she's a fun comedic actress if you can give her something that's comedic to do.
Yeah.
I think that she knows how to play that kind of, look, if she knows how to do anything, it should be in a movie like this.
Sure.
It should be where she knows how to play kind of dumb, but still endearing. And I mentioned earlier about the scary movie films, but if you look at something like House Bunny, which I'm not saying is a great movie, but she is riotously funny in that movie.
Yes.
That is of all of the Adam Sandler produced Happy Madison films, to me, that's one of the funniest ones. And of course, I mean, Emma Stone is in it and she's great. But the stuff that Anna Faris does, where she's like trying to do the mnemonic device of like remembering their names and like saying it in a demon voice, and then when she like gets her inner thighs burned on the steam grate, a la Marilyn Monroe in that film, there's just something about like the way that she carries herself. And then you can even turn it into something like Observe and Report, where she plays like the slut, but like in like this kind of, she does nothing with this. Like the funniest part that they gave her was the audition. And so when she's like over the top, and Jane Lynch is like, I need you to dial back. And she's like, I'm going to, Patrick. And it was like, why are you doing this? Like, I'm dialing it back. It's like, all right, let's meet in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, that was the only part that I was like, okay, this is kind of, the two of them I thought were like together were kind of funny.
Right. And then you kill it almost immediately.
I know.
Like you kill the vibe between the two of them, which the two of them are great individually as well. But like, so she goes from, obviously a comedy of errors. She calls her dealer to buy more pot so she can make more brownies. And like, obviously I know that none of this is supposed to make any, and the narrative thread isn't supposed to make any sense, but then it goes so off the rails, right? This is not about two stoner dudes trying to get to White Castle. This should have been about a girl who needed to pay her electric bill, right? Or she needed to get to an audition. She needed to do 3 things during the day. And so, but it turns into, then she's, okay, so it turns out she's not as stupid as you think she is.
She's got a degree in economics.
Right. And like, she's had a professor who was teaching her, communist manifestos with Karl Marx.
Marxist economics.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, and then she goes in and she almost starts a union at a labor, at some sort of factory.
Yeah. And why have her like, why give us this like impassioned, articulate speech and then say, but that's not really what she said. I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
Like, let her say it. Like, because I think that's funnier, right? When you're like, oh wait, she's stoned, but she's still come up with these crazy, highbrow philosophical ideas.
Right. Because here's the thing that Araki could have done, right? I mean, like, this could have been a stoner comedy that actually had something to say. This could have been about a girl who had been disillusioned by a professor, or disillusioned by her,
or by the world,
right? By the world, and like she had retreated into drug use, and then all these crazy madcap things happened to her. But at the end, she also
wasn't that Requiem for a Dream?
Yes, yeah, exactly. But then her true self comes out in these moments where she feels like she can help these people. like almost like in a weird like Bubble Boy type situation where I mean like which is another movie I think is funnier than people give it credit for, but
sure. I mean, a boy is in a bubble. What's
right,
not to be funny?
Right, what are you gonna?
It's a laugh riot.
But then it becomes such a crazy ass movie. Like it's hard, and that's the problem. Is like this movie shouldn't be hard to follow. It shouldn't like make you it shouldn't make you want to fall asleep or decide to determine it. Like
it took me like 3 times to get through it.
It shouldn't make you regret doing a podcast on Gregg Araki films. And knowing that we're so close to the end that we can't fucking David Double G this thing.
This is, I was going to say, like, we have yet to do a DWG on anything else, right? We have made it through everything else except for so we have only pulled one DWG, right?
But again, this gets to be so like she and like half the stuff that she does isn't really her fault. Like right, so she gets Krasinski. So like this guy's this nerd guy who's like this blatant nerd who
uber dork, right? Yeah.
Right. Who is yeah. I mean, so I'm sorry.
He's Danny Masterson's friend, and these guys are like huge sci-fi nerds.
Right. Yeah. And they're trading CDs or something like that. I mean, this was kind of a dumb thing. Anyway, he's in love with Anna Faris. And he's going to go help her. He's going to take her to the audition or to the hemp festival.
And he's going to loan her some money.
Right. So she can pay her electric bill.
Right.
And then, but then he leaves his wallet out on the dash and then she goes in. What the fuck did they do? He goes in for dental cleaning or like, and then the wallet gets stolen. And then she runs off to her professor's house to get his manifesto or like a manifesto from Karl Marx.
Well, she's running from the cop.
Right.
So the cop's there and he's like, what kind of drugs are you on? And she's like hiding behind the signpost. So she runs away and she passes the professor's house and she goes there because she doesn't know where else to go. Right. Because she's scared. She's running.
Right.
And then the mom
thinks she's a teacher's aide.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She eats a bunch of chips, drinks some lemonade, and then takes the manifesto. Everything that happened. And again, so then she stumbled. Like, here's the thing. At a certain point, I was just like, I'm gonna power through this. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm just gonna power through. She ends up meeting Trejo and John Cho, and they're workers, and they try to help her, and she tries to start a union, but then they undercut any sort of intelligence that she has.
Right.
She starts the movie off on this Ferris wheel. She ends up getting back into the fair. Well, we end up kind of, that was a flash forward. Yeah. So we get back to that stage and the manifesto goes everywhere. The drug dealers come to and
take the
furniture. She ends up at and then she ends up, getting arrested eventually because she has to come down. She has to come down off of the Ferris wheel. She ends up getting arrested doing community service. And that's the end of the fucking movie.
That's it.
Yep. And so your hero doesn't save the day. She doesn't there's no journey for her other than she's just a piece of shit.
No. And she's still stoned by the end of it.
Right. And so this movie, it kind of weirdly, I guess, tries to let her off the hook in that she's stoned all the time.
Yeah.
And everyone can't believe how stoned she is. And she ate but then they're like, well, she didn't know she was eating marijuana brownies or marijuana cupcakes or whatever. And so that's why she got ridiculously stoned. And okay, so let's get to the fucking reviews then.
Yeah.
This, I mean, it had, I mean, weirdly enough, IMDb, it's got a 5 point something, which is pretty good in a pretty good. It's not a good representation because this should be in the 3 level. This should not be I can't see anybody liking this movie. I can't see anybody going into this and thinking, because what the reviews all say is that this is such a showcase for Anna Faris's talent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you haven't seen anything else that Anna Faris has been in then, because she does nothing in this. She practically drools her way through this movie. You don't give her anything really, she's not the reason anything is funny in this, except for a couple of scenes. And there's really nothing funny in this.
No. No. Here's a review that says that Anna Faris pretty much single-handedly compensates for anything lacking in the film.
I mean, there's a lot lacking in this film. I'm not sure anybody could single-handedly compensate for all of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, overall, if you look at the IMDb reviews, like, all of them are green and only one is yellow, like, of critics' reviews.
Right.
So, like,
right.
You know, the AV Club, New York Times, fucking Salon. I mean, like, they all, at the very least, liked this movie. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you guys actually watching?
Can I read you this too?
Yeah, please.
Gregg Araki's smiley face is aglow with bright colors and vibrant characters.
Okay. So
Araki definitely pokes fun at the pop culture while affectionately embracing it. A strong comedic performance by Anna Faris as the lovable, misguided Jane and a sublimely bizarre supporting cast make this a long, strange, and boisterous trip.
So that brings up the other point. This is the ugliest Araki film.
I know.
I mean, it looks fucking garish and shitty.
Yeah.
And also it looks like he just figured out the Adobe Audition, like, in the dumbest fucking, transitional screens.
Yeah.
All of it is fucking shit.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable how bad this movie is. Yeah. Especially coming off of Mysterious Skin. How do you go from...
it's so weird, right?
Right. It just doesn't feel like this is an Araki film. Like, if you didn't know, there's no hallmarks, there's no trappings, there's nothing in here. Even in Splendor, at least in Splendor, you could have said, okay, I get that this is a lesser Araki film.
But the aesthetics are there.
But the aesthetic is there. The dynamics are there.
The triangle is there. Yeah.
You have... In this, and it's not an Araki style, but you do have well-written female characters. In this, we revert. Like, I mean,
right.
It's one, there's hardly any, I mean, there's only one female character in this, but I mean, again, there's nothing for her to fucking
do. And she's
do.
just like, she's nothing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she's just, I don't know. I don't know. I hated it. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, no, it's bad. And it's weird that it came off of what is arguably his masterpiece.
Yeah.
And it's one thing, I guess, if he was just trying to pick up a script. But again, this is still a goodly number of years after Mysterious Skin. Like, it's
like 3 years after.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, so like why? It just feels like between this and what we'll get to in the next episode in Kaboom, it feels like Mysterious Skin took the fucking shit out of him.
Yeah.
And like, it was so heavy and such a difficult topic that he had to kind of revert to just silly nonsense. But
I might be kinder on Kaboom than you are, though.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I would have preferred him to do another Splendor than just to do this complete fucking travesty.
Yeah.
And it just feels like, okay, well, stoner comedies were doing okay at this particular point in time. Let's just throw some money.
But it's so tropey. And like everything, all the humor is so obvious and telegraphed. Like, you can see the jokes coming.
If they're, and again, even if they were to have been well executed, none of them were funny.
Right.
Like, I mean, like, so when you get to the
intended jokes,
the audition, right? And she tries to sell, like, which nothing ever really comes of this. Like, her whole character thread is right that she's on unemployment. Plus, she also had some sort of acting gig where she got a lifetime supply of root beer. Right. And so she has this bag of medical marijuana, which she immediately like flushes. But like, so she tries to sell Jane Lynch marijuana, and then Jane Lynch freaks out because she is the Hollywood casting agent who's also in line with the LAPD, and she's got an I love the LAPD bumper sticker.
Right.
Like, what the fuck is that joke?
I don't know.
Because like, all of these characters just come and go. Like any other stoner comedy, like, they're all cameos of fucking Z-level people anyway. Like, I mean, like, you're saying, I appreciate Posehn, I appreciate Jayma Mays, but like, for the most people, like, oh, well, there's that one person that I saw, and
it's
then
that guy, or
And, okay, so what is the joke there? What's the joke that a casting agent would be so upset with you that you tried to sell them pot because they were huge fans of the cops. Is that a funny setup? Is that a fucking thing that happens all the time? That it's just so like commonplace? Like, oh, how did she not know?
I mean, the last time I tried to sell weed to a casting agent,
but all of it's like that, right?
I know,
it's like,
I know.
She has a fucking economics professor who is teaching Marxist economics. Like, oh, well, that's clearly a thing that happens in Southern California. Like, I mean, clearly.
Yeah, I don't. Why even bring in the Marxist shit anyway?
It never pays off.
It comes in way too late.
Right.
I mean, it just makes no sense of why it's there. It's just they're just throwing so much shit into this.
Like, why would a skull fucking monster expect his pothead roommate to pay the electric? And
I know that's the other. Yeah.
I mean, like, I understand. Look, things have to move forward in the plot somehow, but again, like, then make her try to make amends, right? That's the thing where, like, she doesn't get told to pay the electric bill. She's trying to make an amends for eating the cookies. So she's going to do something for him so he can go and make more cupcakes.
Yeah.
And then on the way, you know, she's got to go to the audition, and on the way she fucks up and loses the money, or she forgets and she buys something that's a shiny bauble, and then, you know, then she has to sell it for magic beans. And then at the end of the day, like, everything should work out. Right. I mean, like, why treat your hero like an asshole?
Yeah.
Because because everyone else is the asshole, right? Neil Patrick Harris is the asshole, right?
Right.
Your heroes should be their heroes.
Right.
And even if they are bumbling dumb fucks, right? I mean, it's still like
that makes them even more sympathetic and more.
But I mean, like, everything that she does, like, and okay, I mean, like, is the bus ride with Posehn a joke? Where she smashes the kids, like she falls and smashes on the kids, and then she runs away and doesn't pay the $1.85. Like, I just wonder, like, you had significant comedic talent on this film that could have helped you. Yeah. Even Brody. Yeah. Right. I mean, you've got people who have chops that could have helped you rewrite this script. Is this what you thought? Like, it just feels like, and you hear him talk about this film, it's like, well, I just pointed the camera at Anna Faris and the magic happened. I'm like, well, it really
what magic?
It really did.
Yeah, it really didn't.
Right.
No.
I mean, and he said the same thing about, like, with Mysterious Skin, like, it was just Joseph Gordon-Levitt brought so much to it, which, I mean, you can see clearly. But
sure.
Anna Faris doesn't know what to do with this role. Mm-mm. And yeah, I'm sure. I mean, but like I said, there's just nothing that happens is funny. Everything is angry. Everything is antagonistic. Everything is kind of in your face and garish. And, like, everyone hates her. And so why the fuck would we like her?
Right.
At every turn, I was expecting for something to, like, magical to happen, like for her fortunes to turn. So, like, when she offers Jane Lynch to sell her the weed, I thought, well, okay, this is going to be like a Lee Donowitz situation where, like, she's going to get a bunch of money. Maybe the cops come in and, like, it's a sting, but, like, she's going to get a bunch of money out of it, like, because she's selling this high grade marijuana. She offers it to Jamin Mays, who's in this room for 2 seconds. Like, again, and, like, why have your cameos not ever pay off? And, like, follow them up at movie, right? All of them should have a joke to tell. The only thing that Jamin Mays does is, like, hey, are you here for the audition? Yeah, I'm here for the audition. Do you want to buy some pot? No, I don't want to buy any pot. It's just like, I'm not stoned. I mean, what's the fucking joke there? Like, what the fuck are people watching? What the fuck is going on? I don't fucking understand.
I don't get it. I don't get it at all. It makes no sense. There's nothing happening in this film.
It's bonkers.
I'm so sad.
It really is so disappointing.
It's terrible. It's fucking terrible. Okay, let's go. Okay, here's the thing. We're gonna collect ourselves. We're gonna give ourselves some time. We're gonna sort of let go of this feeling, let go of this anger that we feel right now towards Gregg Araki for making Smiley Face.
We didn't talk about any movies we liked, so that's good. I mean, it's a good episode, right?
Yes. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back to you with a new episode.
Yeah,
of other films that we can talk about.
The Wilhelm scream will come up tomorrow. It's me bet your bottom dollar that, you know, there'll be another episode and there'll be movies that we like at some point, right?
The scream will come out tomorrow. So everybody, until then, Thank you all for listening.
Man, you know, what else can you do but to keep on screaming?
So turn off the lights and close the doors. But what? We don't love them now. Yeah. So we gon' blow our to this. G's up, freeze up for a second now. Bounce to this.
You have been listening to Why Does the Wilhelm Scream with your hosts, Brock and Jason. If you liked today's episode, do us a favor and rate, review, and subscribe in whatever application you use to consume podcasts these days. You can reach us by visiting whydoesthewilhelmscream.com. If you are in the DFW area, we would love to see you at a Fort Worth Film Club event. You can learn more about those and find a full schedule at fortworthfilmclub.com. And you can learn about my foundation and how we are trying to foster the next generation of film lovers at realhousefoundation.org. That's REEL housefoundation.org. Till next time.